time to wake up. It's 5, and we're live.
Oh, is this thing on? I don't care. I want him to hear.
This is the Pregame Show, your early morning shot of sports on 95.7 The Game. Come on!
We back. Let's go. It's a thirsty Thursday here on the Pregame Show. Joe Spadoni. Be careful out there. If you're driving around, getting off work, getting ready for work, driving in the city to do whatever you got to do. It's foggy. Had the highway patrol on the Bay Bridge doing a little speed check, doing their little veering in, veering out. And Sam's shaking his head. Drives me nuts too, but they do it for our safety, Sammy. So much so that
selfish on their end to have to do construction at that time.
Yeah, I may have been a little overzealous this morning too, Sam. The highway patrol guy literally stopped because I was getting too close, and he's like, "Hey, you need to back off.
Better check yourself."
Just trying to get to work, man. All right? I grew up in fog. Shout out Pacific Grove, California. That's all we know is fog. I could deal with this stuff, but I get it.
Basically an invitation to drive faster.
Yeah, it's just, but I guess there was construction. They don't want people running over cones. Whatever. Just be safe out there. Drive slow if you need to. 888-957-9570. That's the number to get involved in the program, either via call or text. We get some of the craziest callers. We love you guys because you've been up all night. You want to get these takes off. You're not waiting for the morning roast. You're getting off right now. This is the time to get all those takes you couldn't get off throughout the night right now. Like the Cowboys sticking with Mike McCarthy. You reap what you sow, brother. Is that Nick in San Jose? That's exactly right. They can't help themselves down at Jerry's World. They just can't. So they're sticking with Mike McCarthy. 3 straight 12-win seasons, 2 division titles under McCarthy, 1 playoff victory. Of course, that was against a really bad Buccaneers team that was reeling all season long. Kind of winner by proxy down in the NFC South. And they're keeping them. After that performance against your former team in the Green Bay Packers, they're keeping them. And Niner fans and the rest of the NFC rejoices. Not that you're worried about the Cowboys anyways, but it just reinforces Kyle Shanahan, easily the best coach in the conference. Not even close, in my opinion. And then you got Nick Sirianni probably being retained by the Eagles. They're looking for offensive and defensive coordinators. That would lead me to believe that they're retaining the head coach. Which, again, great news for the Niners. Because I'm looking at this matchup this week, and outside of maybe the Detroit Lions, and we'll see how they fare after an emotional win, probably their most emotional win in my lifetime, not even close, definitely within the last 30-plus years, they're going to try to get back on it and defeat Baker Mayfield and co. Maker Bayfield, as some at the station call him. Shout out Low Neal. Kickoff show. And don't miss the kickoff show. This Saturday. What time do we got, Sammy? 3 o'clock. There we go. It's like, yeah, I know we're doing it. What time? It's a weird day. 3 o'clock. Kickoff show right here.
Just tune in to
95.7
95.7 all day. You'll get to it eventually.
There you go. All day long right here, 95.7 The Game. We'll be at the Hilton at Santa Clara. Go say hi to Larry. Go say hi to Lowe. Playoff football is back at Levi Stadium. But I say all that to say, it feels like this matchup this weekend is going to be one that we could potentially be having a lot more going forward. When you look at LaFleur, look at Shanahan, 2 young coaches, 2 of the best in the conference. Obviously, LaFleur's gone all the way to an NFC Championship game, not to a Super Bowl yet. But to do it now with a young quarterback, a first-round pick that was sitting behind Aaron Rodgers, and many was calling him a bust. What about this guy? And some bad losses early in the year. I remember that Monday Night Football loss against the Raiders. It's just bad. He threw a pick to Amik Robinson, Jordan Love that is, to end the game. It was just not great. But to see where they've come all the way this early in the season to now is pretty impressive. And obviously, you're going to have to build on this if you're Jordan Love and if you're Matt LaFleur, but I'm looking at the most upside of the conference outside of the 49ers, obviously with Shanahan and Purdy, and we'll hear what Brock Purdy had to say. Spoke to the media yesterday. Had some interesting thoughts on his performance and what he learned against the Baltimore Ravens, heading into the playoffs, the rest versus rust, all that. So we'll hear from Brock Purdy. And I want to hear from you on the Twitch and YouTube. Search 95.7 The Game, like and subscribe. We're streaming all day long, Monday through Friday, right here on 95.7 The Game, your home for Golden State Warriors basketball. As the Warriors obviously did not play the Utah Jazz. That was postponed. Very sad news. Very sad news. As Dejan Milojevic, Warriors assistant coach, passed away. Was at a private team dinner the other night and went into cardiac arrest. Passed away. Very sad. Very sad. And he leaves behind a wife, 2 children, Nikola and Masa, wife Natasha. Very sad. And there's no other way of sugarcoating it other than, count your blessings every day, just like that. We had an emotional show last week on the Morning Roast in regards to, what's going on with Joe Shasky and his dad, and constantly keeping Papa Shasky in our thoughts. So he continues to battle. Obviously, Steiny's dad passing away. It's been rough. And now our Golden State Warriors family is now feeling it. So, very rough. Very rough. And, we'll wait and see what happens going forward with the team. Obviously, they need their space. The men, like, at a private dinner, like, that's the thing. Like, witnessing that, if that was with the entire team, the entire coaching staff, that's brutal. Absolutely brutal. So, we'll monitor the situation going on with the Warriors, if they'll return, when they'll return, if they play the Mavericks tomorrow. That all seems so trivial at this point, even just talking about the game itself, when, the players, the coaches, Miljovic's family are still grieving. So, again, continue to keep an eye on that. But our thoughts and our condolences with the entire Golden State Warriors organization, the family of Milojevic, players, everyone. Just a very, very sad situation. We do our best to move on here on the pregame show. Again, I'm your host, Joe Spadoni, 888-957-9570. A lot going on in the world of sports. A lot. Head coaches, Golden State Warriors, San Francisco 49ers, the Giants, they doing anything else? Thumbs down. We got a pod, though, Sam. I know you and Shasky were going to record. We're waiting on it. That's a tease for the Garlic Fries and Baseball Guys pod. Pitchers and catchers, less than a month. Woo-hoo! I need the Niners to go on a Super Bowl run here. Not going great for the Giants in this offseason. Not going great for the Warriors in this regular season. The only thing that's going well here in the Bay is the San Francisco 49ers. So we'll continue to talk about them. That's positive stuff, right? Let's keep it positive here. And again, good morning to all of you lovely people on the YouTube chat. Search 95.7 The Game, like and subscribe. Ring that bell is what we like to say. Damon Chang, EJ, Richie R, Morali. Wrestling is dopamine. That's a great name. Wrestling is dopamine. Where's my Heyman at?
Brock Purdy!
There we go. Not John Heyman, Paul Heyman. Shout out Arson Judge. We had a trade real quick as we get back into football here. We had a trade yesterday go down with a guy a lot of Warriors fans wanted. Pascal Siakam. He's going to Indiana, ladies and gentlemen. Bruce Brown, Jordan Nwora, and 3 first-round picks to the Toronto Raptors for Pascal Siakam. The 3 first-rounders, I just had a hard time wrapping my mind around the fact that Mike Dunleavy would part with that and then potentially have the risk of Pascal leaving the offseason. That he just wasn't going to do that. The Pacers obviously in a position, got a young star point guard in Tyrese Halliburton. They got a lot going on in that organization, a lot of positive vibes right now. And you know what? They feel like they can make some noise potentially in the playoffs and get a combo going forward of Siakam and Halliburton that could be formidable in the East, which is, listen, it's run by the Celtics. You got the Bucks, you got the Sixers, obviously. Outside of those top three teams, it's there for the taking. And even the Sixers. Let's be honest. I know Joel Embiid just had an awesome night going toe-to-toe against Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets. But the Sixers, what do they do in the playoffs? They fizzle. They fade. And the Pacers, they've kicked ass this year against the Milwaukee Bucks. So outside of the Celtics, why not the Pacers? So I think it was a great move for them. Now, this is a Golden State Warriors station. We are the flagship, so we have to talk about the Warriors angle of this. A lot of fans upset. I was looking on social. A lot of fans feeling like you're giving up on the year, not getting Pascal Siakam. I don't think that's giving up on the season by any means. I think that's not giving up the future, potentially. And that's what Mike Dunleavy and Joe Lacob have to juggle here. It's not about this season. It's about the next 3 years. It's about this window you have with Stephen Curry and Draymond Green, and we'll wait and see with Klay Thompson this offseason if he re-signs or not. What it comes down to for me in these next couple weeks leading up to the NBA trade deadline, which again is 3 weeks away. 3 weeks to the day. NBA trade deadline. You got to move off Andrew Wiggins, man. You have got to get rid of this guy. How are you going to do that? Maybe you have to attach something. And I know that's not fun, that's not sexy, but you have got to attach something potentially to get rid of this guy. And I know Steve Kerr said the other day he thinks he's been playing a lot better. He's not the same guy that was at the start of the season. I disagree. He is the same guy. I mean, just watch the games. And if you don't even want to watch the games, hell, just look at the box score at the end of them. It's the same thing. You might have a game here or there. Wow, 2 consecutive games maybe where he's actually efficient. 6-12, 7-13, okay. That consistency is just not there, though. And we know that. And what I've said all along this entire season with Andrew Wiggins, he's consistently inconsistent. He's shown you who he was. And what's the old saying? If someone shows you who they are, believe them. And I don't believe in Andrew Wiggins anymore. I just don't. And maybe he needs a fresh start. And it's nothing against the person. Nothing against that. No. I'm not one, to harp consistently on body language, all that sort of stuff. He just looks like he needs a fresh start somewhere else. It's obvious at this point. So I think it'd be mutually beneficial for both the organization and Andrew Wiggins if you move off of him and in a hurry. Now, who wants that contract? Again, what you're selling with Andrew Wiggins is, hey, younger guy, was just the second best player on a championship team a couple seasons ago. We still believe in him. Maybe he just needs a fresh start, fresh market, whether that's, in the Eastern Conference, wherever it is. That's what you're selling right now to other teams. And you're hoping that these last couple performances, he can build off them and then maybe be a little bit more consistent ahead of the trade deadline, get some good games here or there, because a lot of these players with the Warriors now who don't look like a championship team at the very least. Now, I'm not here to talk about championships right now with this team. I'm just talking about if they can get to 500 with the Golden State Warriors. But a lot of these guys on the team, they're playing for other teams right now. They're auditioning. When's the last time you even discussed that notion with the Warriors? No. The Warriors are the champs. Other players are auditioning for them, not the other way around. Things change. Things absolutely change. And for the Golden State Warriors, for the first time in a long time, they're looking like sellers. Outside of the lost season, obviously, injuries, whatnot. But the big three are all healthy. And they might be sellers at the deadline, which is wild. Absolutely wild. You know what else is wild? Outside of the wild card weekend, the super wild card weekend. And it was. The Cowboys getting the boot. We had CJ Stroud destroying the Cleveland Browns defense. Jordan Love doing the same to the Cowboys defense. And now we have the divisional round. And this is what separates the men from the boys. The divisional round. And the matches we got this weekend are tremendous. Hell, even Lions-Bucks, which is probably like the least sexiest matchup out of all of them. If you're just looking at, the MVP Lamar Jackson going up against the hot shot rookie and CJ Stroud in the Houston Texans. DeMeco Ryans, probably coach of the year, should be in the running. Then you got Mahomes v. Allen, the history there. Two of the best in that conference going at it. Obviously, you have Jordan Love v. Brock Purdy, Shanahan v. LaFleur, Niners, Packers, two iconic brands. And I cannot wait for NFL football this weekend. Cannot wait. So damn excited. Brock Purdy knows it feels different too. And here's his mindset heading into the playoffs.
I feel like it's a little different, just last year, still trying to find my way in a sense. I got thrown in towards the end of the year. And so every single week I was, still trying to play good and learn, who I was as a quarterback and obviously get more familiar with playing within the system. So those are all things that were sort of on my plate last year and obviously trying to win every single week and get this team to the end. And so now, I guess this year, just being more familiar with the offense, who I am and all that, it's a little different, but it's good to sort of, watch the games from last year and sort of remember, just the feeling and the emotions of, playing in a playoff game. It's good. It's huge for me as a quarterback to, go back to those moments and sort of remember what it feels like. So those are things that I'm sort of banking on.
What are your expectations for Brock Purdy? 888-957-9570, because all he has done in the biggest moments has shown up. You just go back to last year, the biggest games of his career. If we're talking playoffs, Seahawks at home and the Cowboys at home. And he was a little shaky in the first half of that Seahawks game. Came on strong in the second half. And then didn't have his best performance, but made just enough winning plays against Dallas to get the job done. That was about limiting turnovers and not beating yourselves. Because you can let Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy do that for you, and that's what they did. Now, this time around, it's the same thing. Don't give the Packers an opportunity to get momentum. That's the one thing you cannot do. You saw it last week for the Packers. They drove right down the field. Jordan Love diced up and carved up that defense, and it was a touchdown. They never looked back. A lot of the 49ers' signature wins this year, whether it was the Cowboys, whether it was week 1 against the Steelers, whether it was against the Jacksonville Jaguars coming out of the bye, coming off a 3-game losing streak. Setting the tone early, whether it's on offense or defense. Then you can say, Spadoni, that's just a cliche. That's just, coach speak, whatever, setting the tone early. What does that mean? Well, you can pinpoint particular plays is what I mean. Fred Warner laying the wood. Dre Greenlaw laying the wood, right? Brock Purdy having to complete it to Brandon Ayuk on a 3rd and long when you're up against it already, when the Eagles dominated the first quarter against you. And then you fought back, you punched back, and never looked back. So setting the tone early in this game is going to be massive. Because I don't want to let Jordan Love, Matt LaFleur, this Green Bay Packers team hang around. I am expecting a dominant performance from the offense, and we'll see from the defense. We'll see. Eric Armstead, he's back. He's feeling good. That's going to be massive in the running game because Aaron Jones, running back for the Green Bay Packers, he's been running with his hair on fire. A little too late if he had him in fantasy, but I'm not going to complain. God, I finished second to last year. Not that anyone cares. Did not finish last, though. Sorry, Goo. Finished last in her league. If you look back, though, Sammy, I easily had the most 5-point or less losses. It was infuriating. Ugh.
Those bad beats are tough.
Ifs and buts, candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas, right? There you go. Bad beats is right. Thank you, Sammy. More for Brandon. Or for Brandon. I almost said Brandon Ayuk. Brock Purdy. It's early. It's 5:29 a.m. I had a day off. We went to go look at elementary schools for a little guy. Appreciate you guys letting me have the day off. I know for a lot of you, the 5 a.m. show is the place to be. But young Benjamin's going to be in kindergarten this fall. Ugh, it's crazy. Time flies. Scary. So we're just looking at some of the elementary schools around the area and stuff like that. And, what's the best for them? The after-school programs. If we drop them off early, do they have, preschool for our baby girl? If we want to, get them both together. It's just all this little stuff. So I was out yesterday doing that. And, time flies. And you have got to seize the moment when you can. And I'm thinking about that in the way of the sports lens. And with this 49ers team, it is just set up so perfectly for them to go out and seize this Super Bowl trophy. Going to Las Vegas, doing it in the home of the Las Vegas Raiders would make Niners fans just ecstatic. And there is just no better path right now. I truly believe this is going to be the best path for the Kyle Shanahan era right now to win a Super Bowl. You can go back to 2019 and you say Spadoni, they were up 10 in the fourth quarter against the Chiefs. Yeah. But it was against the Chiefs and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. And with those four people, I like my chances. Even if they were down 10-0, you know what? A 10-point deficit might as well be tie game for the Chiefs. Back when they had Tyreek Hill. Now, different offense this year, right? The only team that you are maybe have fear in the back of your mind going up against is maybe the Ravens because of what they did. But a lot of that, and I give the Ravens a lot of credit, but a lot of that was also self-inflicted wounds. Brock Purdy not taking care of the ball, forcing it, right? And here's Purdy talking about the lessons he learned from that loss.
I mean, yeah, just it being a primetime game, Christmas Day and all that kind of stuff. And then, we sort of had two really good plays in the beginning of the game and the stadium's feeling it. Everybody's feeling good. And then, boom, you make a mistake. So, it's something for me, it's huge to be able to get in that kind of moment and remember those kinds of things for as tough as they were and how bad as I felt after. Man, is that kind of stuff, it can help you if you allow it to go back and watch it on film and be real with yourself about those moments and what it takes to play quarterback at this level and be successful and play consistently and make the right decisions consistently. So those are all things that I took account from that game that I think I got better at. And honestly, we're going to find out, with playoffs coming up and in this game. So, yeah, I thought I took some stuff away from it, but at the end of the day, we're going to find out on Sunday or Saturday.
Saturday night, Levi's Stadium. What's the weather looking like? Been monitoring that. It's been wet here in the Bay Area as I pull up my weather app, as one does. You go to Levi's Stadium, 4,900 Marine de Barlow Way. Right now, we're looking at 85% chance of rain. Now, when does that rain start? All right. Think we're in the clear here. I think 6 a.m. all the way through about, maybe the start of kickoff. Maybe. So there might be some in that first hour there where it's a little shaky, but it looks like it's going to be cloudy. But again, weather is subject to change. Maybe instead of 5, it's 6, yada, yada, yada. So definitely something to monitor. We've only seen Brock Purdy play, right? A couple, I'm not really going to count the Seahawks one, but definitely counting the Cleveland Browns one where there were elements in play. The ball slipped out of his hands. Wasn't his best. And that is the great equalizer at times, is the weather and the elements. Now, Jordan Love plays in Green Bay, plays in the cold. I'm not so sure how much it's going to help him either, right? He's also still a young player. He's only his second playoff game. So as much as it could, alter Purdy's play, I'm also going to reserve some judgment that it could alter Jordan Love's, although he plays in the elements a lot more than Brock Purdy does. Then you can go back to college, Brock played at Iowa State, yada, yada, yada. It's this whole rabbit hole you can go down on who's more prepared, who isn't. Fact of the matter is, take care of the damn ball, run it, get the ball to your stars, you'll win this game. Sounds simple, right? Well, sometimes it's not. Sometimes the opposition takes away your number one target. And who's that going to be for the 49ers? We'll discuss that on the other side. More Brock Purdy sound reaction. We got Baldy sound I want to get to. 888-957-9570. From you, I want to hear from you. Also on the Comcast Business text line, 888-957-9570. It's the pregame show. Joe Spadoni. Come on back. 95.7 The Game. Welcome back. Pregame show, Joe Spadoni, 95.7 The Game. I'm talking a little Dubs as we continue to think about and mourn the passing of Warriors assistant coach Dejan Milojevic, who passed away due to a heart attack he had at a private team dinner. Very sad news we got yesterday. So our thoughts are with the Golden State Warriors organization, the players, the coaching staff, obviously Milojevic's family, and it's very sad. We don't know when the Warriors will get back in action. It's obviously trivial at this point. Any news we get, we will relay to you. But continuing to send our thoughts, prayers to the organization and the family of Milojevic. 888-957-9570 is the number. Good morning to all of you lovely people who are just getting off work, getting ready for work, getting ready for school. It's foggy out there. Please drive safe. The Highway Patrol, they'll tell you. I love the Highway Patrol, by the way. Love them. CHP, great people. I'm being honest. I wasn't riding them. All right? I was just trying to get to work, guys. All right? I've dealt with the fog. I know the fog. I'm good with the fog. I appreciate your services, though. Trying to tell everyone else to slow down. Speaking of slowing down, as we continue to take your calls and text, and the Comcast Business text line, 925. What up, Joe? Would you say your fantasy football team was in the most clutch games like the Warriors? That got me. And I was not clutch enough. That's a fact. I was not clutch enough in those games. It's tough. Tough scene for your boy. We don't worry about that. All right? It's just $100 down the drain. It's all good. I'm not bitter. And I don't think Brock Purdy is bitter about how things ended last year. His mind is right. He's healthy. He's had a lot of weeks to think about this game, and the 49ers have a lot of weeks to think about this game. And they just found out their opponent a week ago, obviously. But the preparations in the quest for 6 for the 49ers started before the season. The goal was to get the number 1 seed in the playoffs. They did that. That is secured. Now the goal is to get to the Super Bowl. How do they do that? Got to beat the Green Bay Packers this week. It's the first step in 3. There's 3 boxes to check. First one is Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. Here's what Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, saw from the Green Bay defense and their win over Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, I think there were just some really good plays made by their DBs. Jair Alexander with his ball instincts on his one interception, and then number 26, Savage, coming down and making a good read on Dak and jumping a slant. I don't want to say anything on their behalf, but I mean, it looks like it's playoff football, man. They're aggressive in what they're doing, and when they see an opportunity, they're willing to, like I said, be aggressive and take it. So those are all things that I think we have to take account. And for myself, obviously with the ball in my hands every play, so they're guys that can make plays, and I have to understand that. So it's going to be a really good challenge.
I'm expecting a big game from Brock Purdy this week. I think a lot of us, the conventional wisdom is they're going to run the ball, they're going to protect Brock, but there's something different this season with Shanahan and this quarterback. He trusts him, and he trusts Brock to let it fly. You saw that in the Ravens game. Now, did it work out? No. But he trusts his young quarterback and his arm to get it to the star players. Because more often than not, Shanahan schemes them wide open. All those different crossing routes, all that. Now, the interesting part about this matchup is the opposing head coach, in this case, Matt LaFleur, Shanahan disciple, right? Was with McVay, with Mike Shanahan and that coaching staff with Washington. Way back when. He knows this offense. It is his offense. And they run different variables of said offense, but it's going to be interesting how defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers, Joe Barry, schemes things up. Brock Purdy's talking about them being aggressive in the secondary, taking chances. Well, that works 2 ways. It's boom or bust. And you know what? Brock Purdy, I think a lot of big plays could happen this week because of that secondary for Green Bay maybe being too opportunistic at times. Darnell Savage, Jair Alexander. Good players. Take a lot of chances. Get handsy. Feed Ayuk. Feed Debo. Feed Kittle. Feed all these guys. And Jawan Jennings, he's back. He's doing a little chirping. Jawan Jennings, doing some talking now. All right. It's one thing if you're Debo Samuel. Jawan, maybe don't talk. I don't need that if I'm a Niner fan. But they're confident. They're confident as a team. I get it. Why shouldn't you be? But you cannot take this opponent lightly. A young team like this, youngest in the league, I want to say, or maybe third youngest, which is wild to be a playoff team and be the third youngest in the NFL. That just doesn't happen. It doesn't. You know, I'm looking at Vegas right now, and they're expecting not a blowout, but 9-point favorites. That came down then. Is what that opened up at -10, right, Sam? I want to say it opened up. Niners were 10-point favorites. I want to say. So, some money coming in on the Packers. Okay. I mean, conventional wisdom would say you like the Packers coming off that win, going up on the road now to at least cover. And maybe that's the play. But the Niners, they got to win this game, right? I'm trying to wrap my head around how the Packers win this game, but I go back to the regular season, and I was filling in for Joe Shasky, and Bonte and I were talking about, PJ Walker. And I had the audacity to say, yeah, the Niners should win this game, but it's not about winning the game for them. It's about how it looks. They should destroy the Cleveland Browns, is what I said. And they lost that game. And then they go on Monday Night Football against Minnesota. We all thought it should be that team. They didn't. And then you're at home against Cincinnati. Oh, they're not going to lose 3 straight. And they did. Joe Burrow coming off the bye. Probably his best game of the year. Fortunately, he got hurt, out for the season. But I think that 3-game losing streak, and hell, just recently on Christmas Day, in a weird way, that was good for them. Revamped, refocused, retooled. They got back on the horse right after that. Going to our nation's capital, beating up on the Commanders. Brock was efficient. He had some of those wow plays that you're looking for, and he didn't turn the ball over. But now he's got multiple weeks off. Didn't play against the Rams, and now he's going to have 3 weeks off. And here's Brock talking about, leaning on each other in week 18 and, heading into the playoffs with that dynamic duo.
We had talked about it throughout the week and stuff, and obviously we understand what the end goal is and the big picture of things. And so for him, obviously getting his body healthy and right, and then obviously keeping me healthy going into playoffs as well was huge. So those are things we both understood, and we both hammered away at, the little things throughout the week. Obviously he came back looking great, at practice and stuff. So, but that's a professional right there. You understand what we're trying to do. Obviously we understood we had the first seed locked up, and to go out and play for our team was awesome every opportunity we get. But at the same time, we both understand that we have to be healthy, going into playoffs. And so having his advice and help throughout that time was huge too. But we're both excited to obviously get through that and be healthy for this game. So we're excited for the opportunity.
It's Brock Purdy there. I'm going to bring up the P word here with the 49ers. Pressure. Who's under the most pressure this weekend? Because it's all on the Niners. It's not on Love. It's not on LaFleur. It's not on anyone on the Green Bay Packers. They're not supposed to be here. They're not supposed to be here. They weren't supposed to beat the Cowboys, but they did. They're not supposed to beat the 49ers. Is it Shanahan? Is it Purdy? Is it McCaffrey? Who is under the most pressure? Is it Steve Wilkes? Who was under the most pressure for you on the 49ers? Could be coaches, could be players, what have you, heading into this matchup this week. 888-957-9570. We'll discuss that. One more segment before handing it off to the Morning Roast. And on the other side, I'll let you know who is joining the Morning Roast today, because it's star-studded, baby. Whew! It is. It's all coming up next. Pregame show, Joe Spadoni, 95.7 The Game.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same. But at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Different? How? You sell high commission investment products, right?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission-based investment products.
Well, you must earn commissions on trades.
Nope, never at Fisher. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in our...
Show on 95.7 The Game.
Welcome back. Pre-game show, Joe Spadoni, 95.7 The Game. Morning roast up next. Bonte Hill and Joe Shasky. Look who Sam got. Producer extraordinaire. Doing numbers on the morning roast. They got Greg Olsen. Yes, that Greg Olsen. Not the offensive coordinator for the Raiders with elite head of hair. I almost said lettuce and head of hair at the same time. Head of lettuce. But Greg Olsen, all about the U. Greg Olsen, who's going to be on the call with Kevin Burkhardt, calling the game on Fox. Niners, Packers. So you're not going to miss that. That's at 8 o'clock. Carlos Ramirez, 49ers pre and post, NBC Sports Bay Area at 8:30. Love Carlos. I'm sure he'll be excited to know that he was nominated for a Doobie Award for Guest Moment of the Year. The little angel, little devil. By the way, Sam, I just now thought, like the Guest of the Year, did we have one of those? I think Paul White probably should have been nominated, The Big Show. Yeah, I know. I forgot about that too. It was a great interview. And you can go on, search 95.7 The Game on YouTube to find it. Paul White, a.k.a. The Big Show, who joined the Morning Roast last year. Very good stuff. And then, last but not least, the Hall of Famer. Leroy Butler. Yes. 12-year career, all at the Packers, Super Bowl champion, 4-time first-team All-Pro, Pro Bowler, All-Decade Team, Hall of Famer, Leroy Butler joining Bonte Hill and Joe Shasky at 9:20. So Greg Olsen, Carlos Ramirez, Leroy Butler. Can't wait for that. It's a star-studded day here, folks. Oh, and by the way, on top of that, we're still giving away this Christian McCaffrey signed jersey right behind me. You'll have 3 opportunities to do that today and 3 more tomorrow. Just be listening all day long. Steiny Goo, Willard Dibbs, Morning Roast for your chance to qualify to win a Christian McCaffrey signed jersey. All right. Before we got to the break, I said, who's under the most pressure heading into this matchup for you? It's all in the Niners. Because there's no pressure on the Packers. They're supposed to lose. They're not even supposed to be here. They weren't supposed to beat the Cowboys. They're happy to be here. Is it on Shanahan? Is it on Brock Purdy? Who is the pressure on? Robin Concord wants to weigh in on this. Rob, who's under the most pressure? Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Thursday.
Yes, sir.
I think it's going to be Kyle Shanahan. I think looking at this season and looking at the past couple of seasons and the success and getting close, it's not going to be good enough this year, I think, for a lot of fans. I myself, looking at the 49ers, this is probably the best roster any football team has at the moment and for the next couple of years. So that being said, a lot of teams around the league would salivate to have the tight end, a running back, an offensive lineman like Trent Williams, the defense that the 49ers have. So that being said, Kyle Shanahan has, I think, all the pressure. If you can't get it done this season with this roster, really, that's the question. What happens then? Thanks again.
Thanks. That's Robin Concord joining the conversation. 888-957-9570. It does feel on it. You can hear it in his voice. He's like, man, if he doesn't win it this year, come on. Right? That's what it feels like. If not now, then when for Kyle Shanahan? It's got to be this year. It has to be. You got your quarterback. You got your running back. You got a bajillion all-pros and Pro Bowlers. Like, just, again, we've done it a lot this year. Just go up and down the roster. You have the best tight end in football this year, George Kittle. You have the best running back. It's not even close, Christian McCaffrey. You have a top 5 quarterback in Brock Purdy. Probably should have been second-team All-Pro. Dak Prescott, give me a break. Who is the least bit surprising that he struggled in the playoffs? I know it's not a playoff award. But you got those three. Then I give you an Ayuk. Then I give you a Debo. Ayuk, by the way, second team All-Pro. Decent little player right there. Then you go on the offensive line. Trent Williams, best in the league. Go to the defensive line. Nick Bosa, one of the best. Javon Hargrave, one of the best D tackles. Eric Armstead, now back. Secondary, Charvarius Ward, another one. Led the league in interceptions. Or the conference, I should say. Was it the league? It's one of them. But you get what I'm saying. They have the best at their position, or at least in the top 5 at said position, in a lot of areas. Oh, did I mention Fred Warner, by the way? And Dre Greenlaw? Oh, just one of 1A, 1B, best linebacking core duo in the league. If you want to go Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith, that's fine. I'll take Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw. And you can have Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith. I think we'd both be happy. If not now, then when for Kyle Shanahan? And did I even mention the remaining teams and quarterbacks in this conference? Baker Mayfield, who was my comeback player of the year. The pre-gamers know. I said that before the season started. Baker Mayfield, comeback player of the year. It's looking great. And this was outside the DeMar Hamlin bracket as my computer now. Oh, I thought it was going to restart. No, we're good. # squirrel. But Baker Mayfield was my comeback player of the year. And he's looking like that. And he's on a short list of quarterbacks now to start and win playoff games for 2 separate franchises. One of them being the Cleveland freaking Browns. I think we kind of slept on that. Yeah, Baker Mayfield won a playoff game against the Steelers for the Browns. That doesn't happen. They also had a great chance of beating the Chiefs in that game in the playoffs right after that. But Baker Mayfield comes to Tampa Bay trying to resurrect his career, does it in impressive fashion, and is now in the second round of the divisional round, heading to Detroit, a team and franchise that has been awful my entire life. Outside of 3 playoff runs with Matt Stafford that all ended up in first-round losses, they have been putrid. They are synonymous with Dan Orlovsky running out of the end zone. The Matt Millen-led, the general manager at the time, 0-16 Detroit Lions. That is what I remember. And now they're believing again. You look at their quarterback situation. Jared Goff, Dan Campbell, biting kneecaps off. And then the opponent this week, Green Bay, who, one of the historic franchises in the NFL, specifically in the NFC. There's been no more matchups between 2 teams in the playoffs than we've seen with the Niners and the Packers. Is it 10? It's going to be the 10th? It's unbelievable. 2 historic franchises going at it. And by the way, Packers are on a losing streak in this whole run here. Was it 5 straight losses? Let me go through here. We had Kaepernick twice, right? Kaepernick beat him twice. And then we got a couple years ago, Jimmy Garoppolo. Is that 3? My math's off. I'll look into it. I think it's 5, right? Maybe it's 4. Doesn't matter. You've owned them. You've owned them. Not since the early 2000s when it was Jeff Garcia versus Brett Favre, right? But again, goes back to pressure. No one's expecting the Packers to win this game. You're the favorites to win the Super Bowl. You're the favorites to get to the Super Bowl. So, Kyle Shanahan, if you want to put the pressure on him, absolutely. I think a lot of people, I would say Brock Purdy, but I think a lot of people, especially nationally, are expecting Brock to come up short at some point. The amount of I told you so's on Christmas Day showed to me that a lot of America is still not sold on Brock Purdy, and that's fine. That's where you want to be if you're a Niner fan. Keep doubting our quarterback. That's what we like to hear. They're putting all the pressure on the coach, not the quarterback. And if I'm Brock Purdy, I take that as a slight. I do. 888-957-9570. Who was under the most pressure heading into this matchup against the Green Bay Packers? From the Comcast Business text line, 714. If you ask most pundits, they would say Brock Purdy is the worst quarterback remaining in the playoffs. I did see, who was it? David Carr from NFL Network, that I think he was Brock Purdy in his top, whatever it was, quarterbacks remaining. Top 8. Brock Purdy was second to last. Let me pull this thing up. This is ridiculous. So he goes from MVP candidate heading into Christmas to the 7th worst quarterback. It's just... I'm trying to find the list. It doesn't matter. But, I mean, the 7th? Like, come on. You're taking Brock over Jared Goff, right? Right? You're taking him over Baker Mayfield. I'm taking him over Jordan Love right now. And I'm talking about playoffs right now. I'm still taking Purdy over him. And Jordan Love's been playing great. Then jump over to the AFC. Am I taking over CJ Stroud right now? It's tight. It's tight. And I'm just talking about these playoffs right now. I'm not talking about I'm building a franchise. Because I'm probably taking CJ Stroud. But these playoffs right now, I'm taking Brock over CJ. Brock's been there. He's done that. He's gone to the NFC Championship. I think he's ready to take that next step. Then we get to Mahomes. I'm not taking Brock over Mahomes. Am I taking Brock Purdy over Josh Allen? This might surprise some people. Yes, I am. Am I taking him over Lamar Jackson? I am not. So that's only 2 quarterbacks ahead of Brock Purdy into these playoffs. 2. I wonder what Joe Shasky and Bonta Hill will say to that on the other side. 95.7 The Game.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco. Always live on the free Odyssey.